Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our robotics class. Now, I believe this is week 12. Oh my goodness, wow. So let's see, this week we are going to actually be doing some coding with our robot. So how fun is that? So just a quick reminder, at this point, we have started with a new curriculum. So this is with VEX Code VR, and it is a virtual robotics curriculum, which is really great because why? Because first off, we're not all together. Second off, buying robots is very expensive, like physical robots. And so I would love to use physical robots at some point, but at this very moment, I feel like this curriculum really serves our purpose and kind of meets our need where we're at here at this school, right? So it's great. It's a full curriculum. You learn how to program a virtual robot in different settings, right? And if you remember back to our introductory lesson, we learned that there were a lot of different settings that you can put your robot in. And the one we're using today is the Castle Crasher game. So that's a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to like that. But the first 2 weeks, so the first week I showed you guys how to save and what did I show you guys how to do? How to save the file to your downloads folder and then email it to me, because that's how you're going to get credit for your code, by emailing me your files with your code every week. So if you didn't do that, I mean, at this point, that was like 2 weeks ago, you should have already done that. So please do that if you haven't done it already. Last week we had a quiz. So I did receive a bunch of your scores back from the quiz, but again, it was a bunch of you guys did not do the quiz. So, I was like, I'm not moving forward with anything, but I'm going to keep moving forward for the kids who are doing everything. And you will receive 10 points off for every week that you're late with the assignments. So again, that would stink for you to get a lower grade simply because you're not setting aside time for robotics every week. And honestly, you really don't even you need maybe like 20, maybe 30 minutes, at the max 40 minutes a week to do your lesson with your coding. And you have the videos, so you can always go back and pause them, copy the code. I mean, I'm doing it with you together. Why am I doing that? Because I know that this is a new subject and not everybody is proficient in code, right? We're learning it, we're building up our skills. But again, I need you guys to be cooperating and doing your part. So I'm doing my part. I'm teaching you and I'm making the videos and everything. Now I need you to do your part, do your work so you can actually learn it. And then we can keep moving forward together, right? So that's what's really important, that you value your education. Okay, so we're up to lesson 2 right now in computer science, moving your robot. So in unit 2. And in this week, what we're going to be learning how to do is to move our robot forward and reverse using the drive train commands. And we're going to be able to knock down the first castle in the Castle Crasher playground. So this is what the Castle Crasher playground looks like. Okay. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to open up a new project in VEX Code. So again, go to File, New Blocks Project. Now we're totally new. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is we want to name our project, right? So we want to name it. How do we name it? We go into this box and we can rename it. So I would like you to call this lesson. Oh, put your name. Please put your name in the file, because when you download the file and you email it to me, if you don't put your name, when I combine all the files into the main folder where then I go through and grade all of them, then I don't know it's yours, right? So like I would put Erica, and then I would call it lesson number 2, because this is lesson number 2. You could even put forward and reverse. That way I can see that you're doing it correctly. So now my file is named. Okay, so please make sure you put your name in the file and you can call it lesson 2. Okay, so that's pretty easy. So we're going to be learning how to use the drive forward block. So if you can see it here on the screen, I'll make it a little bit bigger. So it's drive forward, right? So we're going to pull out one of those blocks this one here, and we're going to connect it. Okay, so there we go. So what is this telling our robot to do? To drive forward. So then what we need to do is select the playground button to launch the Castle Crasher playground. So when I click on the playground, you'll notice that for me, Castle Crasher is already open. If it's not open for you, say you have Grid Map or something else, you're going to need to go in and make sure that it says Castle Crasher, okay? And so this is where we can actually see our robot in action, right? So make sure that yours looks like this. The next thing we're going to do is, so I already showed you guys, we're gonna press the start button, and we're going to see if our robot can drive and be able to actually crash into the castle. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna press the start button. So there goes the robot. So I don't know if you just saw that. I can try it again. Let me stop it. Okay. So it didn't go far enough, right? Because, so, let me show you guys something. So when you have your playground open, if you want to go back to your code, press the hide button, and then it will hide it. So that way you can see your code. So we went forward for 200 millimeters, but the thing is, it wasn't far enough to reach the actual castle. So I'm going to go to next. So now we're in the next part of the lesson. So it says the VR robot did not touch the center castle in the last project. It needs to travel farther. Adjust the forward parameter, test it, and watch the VR robot knock over the center castle. Set the distance the VR robot will move by entering the value 800. So now they're saying to put 800. So we're going to try to do it, and then we're going to try to press, we have to select the reset button to reset the playground, and then we can try and see what happens. So let's see what happens, okay? Let's see what happens. So now we're changing this to 800. So if you click in here, 800, because we want to go a little bit farther. Let me go into here, okay? So here we are, perfect. Okay, so if you want to reset everything to start over again, it's this button right here, this arrow button. If you press that, it'll reset everything. So it's in the lower, I can't show it because it keeps, but it's right here. And the lower left-hand side, it looks like a circle arrow. If you press it, it will reset everything. So now I'm going to run my program again. I'm going to press the start button in the upper right-hand corner, and let's see what 800 does. So there goes the robot. Woo! It crashed into the castle. So it looks like it worked, right? It was able to do it. Okay, so another thing to mention is that your drive block can move in millimeters or inches. So that might be for some other things that we work on. So we saw that the robot was able to crash into the castle. So that was a good sign, right? And so now it needs to return to the starting position. So we have to use an additional drive for block and change the parameters to make it drive in reverse to the starting position. So we're going to be doing that by moving another drive block. So let me hide my thing here. I'm going to move another drive block. But if you notice this pull down menu where it says forward, you can also click reverse, right? So now let's think about this. To get our robot to go back, let me open this, back to the starting position. So we moved 800 millimeters forward. So how many millimeters in reverse do we need to move? And the question, and the answer would be 800, right? The same amount. So let's put that in. Okay. And now let's see what happens. I'm going to reset my program, and I'm going to press start. So there goes the robot, is going, crashing into the castle, and then going backwards to the original position. So it looks like our code worked correctly. So that's perfect. So hopefully you guys are getting the hang of this. Obviously, this is very basic. But we have to start with basic. We can't go ahead if we don't understand the basics, right? So it looks like you guys did a really, really good job. So here's another thing that they mentioned. I'm just kind of going through the curriculum with you guys and just reading you some of the tips. But it says to make a VR robot drive forward and reverse at different speeds, the drive velocity can be increased or decreased using the set drive velocity block. The set drive velocity block accepts a range between 0 to 100. The default velocity is 50%. Changing velocity will apply to any subsequent drivetrain commands. So we can change the velocity on the robot and make it go faster or slower. So let me hide this again and I'll show you guys set drive velocity. If we put that as the first block, if you notice it's at 50 right now. So let's just for fun move it to 25. And then let's go back to our Castle Crasher, reset it, and now I'm going to start it. And it's going to be a robot sloth. Look how slow it's moving. 25%. Look how slow it's going, right? And then it's going backwards. So hopefully this is getting you to see how you can change the speed, right? So now let's try a different one. Let's make it be 100. Okay, that's the top speed that it can go. So click show, click reset, click start. And it's, whoa, look how fast it's going. Oh my gosh, that was super fast, right? So again, what did I do? I used the set drive velocity 2, and you can put any number between 0 to 100. Obviously 0, it's not going to really move anywhere because you're setting the speed to 0. So you can play around with the speed, but the code that I'm looking for this week is that you use the drive forward 800 millimeters correctly. You use the drive reverse for 800 millimeters, and that you put the set drive velocity block in there. You can put any number in there that you want. So if you decided to try 40%, you could leave 40%. That's really up to you, because we know that as long as we have the second 2 blocks in our code, we're going to accomplish hopefully what we set out to accomplish, which is to knock down the castles, right? So you want to, so the way that this game works is as if your blocks are knocked over or displaced, meaning that they're moved to like a little bit over, that counts as meeting the goal for the game. So they don't have to be completely knocked over to meet the goal for the game. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I hope that you guys are starting to get the hang of using these blocks and being able to change the velocity, right? The speed here. So hang on 1 second. Okay, so that concludes lesson 2, learning how to move the robot in forward and reverse. We are going to be having a short quiz. So there's 2 assignments, or 2 parts to the assignment. They'll be graded separately. The first part is your code. So what I'm looking for, again, is I'm looking that you're using the drive forward block and the drive reverse block correctly, that you've added in the set drive velocity block. And again, both of these need to be 800, but your velocity can be anywhere between 0 to 100. Then what you're going to do is go to File, Save to your device. It's going to save. You're going to go into your email. Let me open up my sample email. You're going to go into your email, go to the Attach Files button. It looks like a little paperclip. Go to the Downloads button. So we're looking for downloads. And then it should be there. Erica Lesson 2, forward and reverse. Click Open. Put in my email, East PCA. Put in Robotics week number 12. And then lesson, lesson number 2 code. And then send it to me. Okay, so that's the first part of your homework. If I get the correct code and I take a look at it, I'm like, oh, perfect. They used the blocks correctly. They put in the correct numbers. You'll get 100 for that part. The second part is a quiz, so similar to last week, except this week there's only 4 questions, and they are all questions of what we just covered in the lesson. So this will help me to know that you have an understanding of the material that we just covered. So they're each worth 25 points. They're multiple choice. Everybody should get 100 on this if you actually listen to the lesson, okay? Because the questions are exactly what we just did for the lesson. So please, I hope that you took notes and just jotted down some notes, but you can always go back to the video and I will take the first score from your quiz. So if you, because obviously when you score the quiz, you can see the correct answers. You can go in, click the link and take it again and do the correct answers, but I'm not going to take that score. I'm going to take your first score. Why? Because you had this video to watch and you were allowed to take notes and use your notes. So if you didn't get it right in the first place, that's really your own fault for not taking notes and not using the video. So you can't just take the quiz, see the correct answers, go back and take it a second time and think that we could use that score. That's not how it's going to work, okay? You can use your notes, you can use the video, of course, but you're only going to be, your score that will be counted will be the score from your first try, okay? Because I did see some of you guys thinking, oh, I can go in there and then I know all the right answers. Well, you should have known them if you took notes, right? So those are the 2 parts to your assignment this week. So have fun with the code. Hopefully you guys all can crash into the gas hole, right? And knock it down. And we will see you guys next week, okay? Reach out if you have any questions. Don't wait until the last minute. Catch up if you're missing anything as soon as possible. Okay, guys? All right, bye.